Hello my loves, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well, having yourselves a good day, and welcome to my November reset. We're going to try and get this one short, sharp and shiny. I am honestly not really in the mood to reset, which is controversial. We're still going to do it. I'm forcing myself to because I know I'll thank myself later. I think it's because we're about to leave for our baby moon in like 24 hours, less than 24 hours, and all I can think about is relaxing on the beach with pina colada in one hand, book in the other. Can you blame a girl? That's like where my mind is at right now. So I'm not really in that like reset-y, goal-setty mood. As I said, I will thank myself later if I set intentions, set up my budget, also reflect on this past month, which was undeniably one of my biggest months ever on social media. We hit some really big milestones. I think it's important to reflect on that and celebrate that as a society, and especially as a woman. I feel like sometimes celebrating yourself is often frowned upon. It's something that used to make me really uncomfortable. It still kind of does sometimes, but I'm trying to lean into it and celebrate those wins, because I know if it was one of my friends, I'd be like shouting from the rooftops like, you did it, you go girl. So why can't I do that for myself? But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. Now I'm actually getting into it. I'm getting excited. We're gonna go over our budget, see how much we spent, what we saved, what we invested. We'll set a new budget for November and then go over our goals. I also want to touch on some of my monthly favorites, which maybe we'll begin with. First thing I've been loving is the Habitual Beauty Triple Peptide Eye Cream. This might be one of the few eye creams I've tried and actually noticed a difference with. I feel like it instantly lifts and smooths and brightens up my under eyes. I have naturally very dark under eye circles, and so anything to help, I'll try. I think my code SMILEY might get you 20% off Habitual Beauty products as well if you're interested. Next favorite will probably come as no surprise if you've been watching my vlogs. The brick. I'm sure you've seen it all over your social media, which is kind of ironic because this is to block social media or certain apps on your phone. It's a physical device, and there's something about the physical proximity of it that's completely changed the game for me. I have been one to set so many timers and time limits on my phone. I'm constantly ignoring 15 more minutes, ignore till tomorrow. This is the only thing that has actually curbed my social media addiction and helped lower my screen time. And it's so simple. Like, the concept is so simple. It's a literal gray box that you just tap to block and unblock certain apps. The concept is so simple, but there's something about the physical proximity and having it in another room. You can pop it on your fridge. It's magnetic, so you can pop it on your fridge. I can only speak for myself, but I know my own phone usage is so habitual. It's like a reflex. I will click on the social media app, Instagram, for example. Most of the time I don't even care. Like, I don't even want to be on there. When I'm bricked out, it forces me to be like, okay, do you actually want to scroll on social media right now? Which is fine. Like, social media is not the problem. I'm the problem. There's been the odd occasion that I'm like, yeah, I actually do want to be on social media. I want to be intentional with my time on social media. So I'll physically get up, unbrick my phone and spend like half an hour on Instagram. And that's fine. That is intentional use of social media. So this has been a big game changer for me. Next favorite is The Traitors, one of my all-time, I would dare I say maybe my favorite reality TV show. This is the first time I've watched Traitors in real time and actually followed it as it's aired. We're watching the Celebrity UK Traitors, and there's just something about it is so good. Like, it's so addictive. The way they edit it leaves every single episode on a cliffhanger, which if you hate that, probably not the show for you. The cast is fantastic. So many hilarious moments. It's a really good show. It's such a cool concept. And then last favorite I have for you this month is a creator. Her name is, I'm gonna look it up because I'm gonna butcher it otherwise, and I'm still probably gonna butcher it. Jillian, I want to say. She is a creator from Southern Florida, I believe. I just love her content. There's something about it that is so easy to watch, so wholesome. She does a lot of lifestyle, personal finance content. She always does payday routines. I love watching those. She just seems like such a sweet, down-to-earth person. Really easy to watch. I've really been enjoying her content recently, so I'll have a link to her channel down below if you're looking for any new creators. I feel like there's not many of us that do lifestyle and personal finance content, so she's one to watch. I'm now going to bring up my goals for October and see how we went with those. You guys know I like to break them up into different categories. So we've got personal, wellness, financial, career, and then home goals. Overall, we did pretty well this month. For my personal goals, I wanted to have less than 2 hours a day on socials. We smashed that one. I think I was breaking myself out like 20 hours a day at some point. I wanted to finish 4 books. We still have a couple days left as I'm filming this. I've read 2 so far. I'm nearly done with my 3rd. So like, we could maybe squeeze in a 4th. As I said, we are leaving for our baby moon tomorrow, and I do plan on doing a lot of reading. So who knows, maybe we'll tick that one off as well. For my wellness goals, I did my 8,000 steps daily, and I also started my pelvic floor exercises. That's something I definitely want to continue as we approach 3rd trimester. For financial goals, I invested $1,000. Oh, actually, did I invest $1,000? Maybe not. We might have to come back to that one. I know I invested, but I don't know if it was $1,000 exactly. We invest in ETFs, and so you set a maximum, say $1,000. I'll set $1,000 as my maximum. And then from there, there's like the broker fees, and then it depends how much those shares actually cost, because it will like cap at the limit, if that makes sense. So I might have to come back to that one. I did save $1,000 from maternity leave. And then I also wanted to sell and save 5 items. I sold 2. I sold 2 things on Facebook Marketplace. So making progress. Not quite 5, but getting there. For career goals, I did not upload 8 times on YouTube. I think by the time this video goes up, my 5th upload, but I did upload 16 times on Instagram and TikTok. I think 18 times in total. Actually, 19, 20, maybe 20 uploads. That's pretty good for me. One thing we did do right this month was making progress on our home to-dos. I have kind of this ongoing to-do list of things that I want to get done around the house. We did start baby's nursery, and by starting I mean we cleared the room out. We sold the mattress and the spare bed that was in there. We started clearing everything out so we have an empty shell to work with. We also paid the deposit on our wardrobe installs, so they're getting done in the next week or so. That's super exciting. That's a big moment for us. You guys know I've been talking about getting our wardrobes fitted out for the whole time we've lived here, like the last 2.5 years. It's taken being pregnant, being almost 26 weeks pregnant, to actually do it, but that's apparently what I needed, was that little kick up my bahootie, that impending due date. We're like 60% done with clearing out the garage, so I've ticked that one off, and I also decluttered my bathroom cupboard. If you guys watch that vlog, you would know. So overall, I'm actually really happy with how we went in October. The next few months are going to be big. We have a lot that we want to do before this baby arrives. Unfortunately, I'm not really in the mood to set any goals for November. I think I might hold off and do it when I get back from our trip. I'm just not really in the headspace for it today, and I never want to force it. I know when I get back from my trip, which will still be early November, I'll be in that mindset, like that post-travel reset mindset where I'll want to set goals and set intentions for the month. So maybe I'll share that in a vlog when I get home and we can talk through our goals then. But I would love to know what you guys are working on. What are some of your goals? Maybe you can inspire me. Now getting into everyone's favorite part, the budget. We're going to go over October and then set a budget for November. As I said, October was my biggest month on social media, the most money I've ever earned from social media in a singular month. I'm going to emphasize that this is not typical, at least not for me. I'm sure it is for a lot of people, but for me, this is huge. It was definitely a culmination of many months of work. I can show you guys the breakdown of my business income. So I made $2,857.18 from YouTube AdSense. I uploaded, I think 5 times in September, and you always get paid out from the month before. I think in total I had about 130,000 views, which is pretty typical for me. I made $4,706.39 from affiliates. This is from links or discount codes that I might share with you guys. A lot of that's from the budget template that I use, Amazon, all of those things add up. And then by far the biggest income stream for me this month was from paid partnerships. I made $37,333.34. If you had told me that a year and a half ago when I quit my job to do social media full time, like I would not believe you. That is a shocking number. Shocking in a good way. That is a really shockingly good number. It just goes to show like there is so much money and so much opportunity in social media and in this industry. I think it goes to show like if I just little old me, little old Ella over here, I'm definitely not a huge creator. Like if I can make that, like how much are other people making? That's what I always wonder. I'm like, I made this much this month. What is everyone else making, you know? And like everyone's different. I think you can't look at someone with a certain amount of followers and be like, oh, well, they must be getting paid this much. Like it's a not one size fits all, and like I said, every month looks entirely different. I'm really lucky, and I think I have a lot of things working in my favor in terms of my audience. You guys, like, you are so engaged, so supportive. We have the best community here. I also feel like I have a lot of trust with you guys. I'm really picky and very particular about the brands I choose to work with. I want to say yes to opportunities. Obviously that's going to set myself and my family up, and like this does pay the bills at the end of the day, but I'm also really lucky that I don't have to rely on paid partnerships entirely. I have other income sources, so I can afford to be more selective. I also haven't niched down too much, which definitely works well for some people. Obviously I talk about personal finance as a large part of my content. I love talking about it, but I also balance it with lifestyle content and home content, talking about motherhood or my journey into motherhood, like so many different things that I just ultimately enjoy talking about. And I think that crossroad between personal finance and lifestyle is something that not a lot of people discuss. The only reason I care about personal finance and budgeting is so that I can live life. Like I just want to live, laugh, love. My personal finances and my budgeting affords me that and allows me to do that. A lot of creators that talk about personal finance just talk about that. I'm nosy. I want to see what you're doing with that money. Show me your life. Show me how you're spending that. And I totally get why some people don't, but I think that's really worked well in my favor, and just building that relationship with you guys. It's interesting coming from always making lifestyle content and then pivoting into personal finance. I think that's where I've been really lucky, is I initially started with lifestyle content and then I pivoted into personal finance. And so yeah, I've been really lucky, and I had a lucky month. I had a really, really lucky month. It was a culmination of a couple of months of work that I just happened to get paid out in October. But yeah, I'm so proud of that. So this is how October is looking for us. Nick got his normal paycheck. That went up by $18. A lot of you guys helpfully pointed out that that was because of the HEX change, or the change in HEX repayments. So he's now making $3,189.65 every fortnight. And then I paid myself out $29,182 from my business income. And then miscellaneous, we made $1,309. This was a mix of a few things. I cashed out on some of my shop back. We also sold a couple of things on Facebook Marketplace, which is always nice. And Nick also got his tax return. So a few different things that made up that amount, which means our total income was $36,870.93 this month. That is crazy. My business income, like this $44,896, that was literally almost my entire salary 4 years ago. My annual salary, what was it? $47,000 a year in 1 month. That is crazy. That is crazy. And it gets me thinking like, little old me is making that. How much are these huge creators making? Like, I just want to know. I'm so nosy. I'm so nosy. It's bad. So yeah, October, huge month, biggest month ever. What did we actually do with that money, you might be wondering? We paid our bills. Our bills were normal, just $1,413 for our quarterly and monthly bills. Same old with subscriptions, although Spotify has got up by $3. I feel like someone jinxed me. Someone called me out in one of my what I spend in a week videos on Instagram asking how Spotify was only $19.99. That's just how it's always been. Like, that's what we've always paid. And then I went to look on the Spotify website and there was no subscription for that amount. I don't know how that was possible. Maybe it was up for renewal, but it's now gone up to $22.99. So whoever that was, you jinxed me. Spotify must have seen it and said, this girl has been underpaying. Also, someone asked how our stan is only $25. It won't be $25 forever. We got Optus Sport so Nick could watch the Premier League, and then the Premier League has moved to Stan Sport, and so they were doing some kind of shuffle incentive, like if you have Optus Sport, if you paid for the whole year, you can move over for a discounted price. So I don't know how much longer it's gonna be $25, but that is that. I feel like all of our subscriptions have slowly crept up by a few dollars every single month. It's getting outrageous. As for our variable expenses, we spent $508 on groceries this month, $195 on petrol. We did go over on pets. We spent $337.50. I knew we had to stock up on dog food, which was only $170, but then their council registration was also due, which was $160. So that's why we were a little bit over. Spent $48 on health, $777.13 on home. That was pretty much all for our wardrobes. We had to pay a deposit on the installs. Technically we were over budget, but we pulled it from our home sinking fund, so it doesn't count. It's basically free money. $150 on the cleaners. I have another payment to make on that, so it'll be $300. We budgeted $650 on gifts and we spent $1,103. That $650 was money that we were spending from this month's budget, and then anything extra we would pull from our sinking fund. But because it was a high income month, like much higher than we were expecting, we just paid it all from whatever we made this month, if that makes sense. We didn't take any money from our gift sinking fund. We just left it as is, which is most ideal, especially with Christmas around the corner. It means that we're pretty much sorted and everything's covered. October is always a very gift heavy month. We had a wedding this month. We also had my sister's birthday and my birthday. And Nick and I share 100% of our finances, so whatever he spends on me is reflected in the budget. We spent $214 on treating others, $382 on eating out, to be expected with it being birthday month, $230 on social, $104 on coffee. This is probably the most we spent on coffee in a long time. We bought more coffee, like there's no two ways about it. OTR came out with their pumpkin spice latte, so we got that a couple of times. That's seasonal, so 'tis the season, got to make the most of it. And Zarafas just opened in Adelaide, so we made the trek up there to Manapara. Got ourselves some Zarafas, didn't we? It was worth every second. It was like an hour drive. One way, 2 hours round trip for Zarafas. It's actually kind of ridiculous. And that's how I spent my 29th birthday, in case you're wondering. We spent $97 on hobbies. That's mostly cricket stuff, and also Nintendo. I got a Nintendo Switch for my birthday, and so we downloaded some games on that. We were under budget on transport, over budget on shopping, spent $666. I really have no explanation for that, honestly. Nothing on entertainment. I spent $16.99 on books, $49.90 on date night. Nothing on alcohol this month. Travel, we have spent $4,569. All of that pretty much came from our travel sinking fund. So don't be fooled. That $2,000 is actually us spending money while we're away, but the $4,500 was for the accommodation. We had to make the payment on that. And that's for our baby moon. We've definitely splashed out on our baby moon. I don't even know if I want to do a breakdown of the costs. I'm a little scared. I think because we know it's going to be our last holiday, just us two, and like we're going to quite a expensive place, there's no way to really cut costs or cheap out on it. Like the price is the price. We've definitely splashed out on the accommodation because we know that we're just going to be chilling by the pool, in our hotel room, watching movies, reading, like really not doing a whole lot. Typically when we travel, you guys know we do a lot of activities. We're very activity centric on our travels. We have a very detailed itinerary, a lot of things we've got to check off the list, and that is not this holiday at all. This is like a flop and drop, relax to the max kind of trip, a vacation if you will. And then the only other thing we really spent money on this month was the baby. We spent $891.22. I made a big Amazon order when they were doing their Prime Day deals, just to tick some things off our wish list. As for savings, we, as I said, pulled $4,265 from our travel sinking fund, also pulled some money from our home fund, but we also contributed some money. We put $150 into car expenses, nothing in emergency fund because that's fully funded. We invested $674. I knew it wasn't quite $1,000. I put $4,000 back into the business. That's for extra super contributions and my maternity leave pot, which I'm done filling up actually. I've saved $5,000 for maternity leave, or maybe just a bit over. When it comes to social media, unfortunately, you are a slave to the algorithm. And if I completely drop off entirely, I don't know what would happen to my career. I really don't. I also want to be posting. Like, that is a time in my life where I will want to be sharing that journey and how motherhood looks for me. So I know I won't completely stop posting. I just want to take a step back from any paid partnerships. So I don't have any deadlines I need to adhere to, and I can just post in my own time whenever I feel like it. We budgeted $200 in our gift fund and we put $500 away. And then our baby fund, we contributed $3,500. I thought I may as well, while I have this exceptional month, may as well put some money behind the baby and baby things. We're pretty much done, I think, for the most part. Like, all of our big ticket items we've pretty much purchased apart from our stroller. I'm kind of waiting to see if there's any Black Friday sales. TBD on that. And then for debt, we made our normal mortgage repayments. It's so funny, I wasn't sure what this month would look like for my social media. How much did I expect to make? $10,000. So we put $13,500 on our mortgage as an extra mortgage payment. I am so excited about this. You guys know we set a pretty mammoth goal of paying off an extra $50,000 of our mortgage this year alongside our normal regular repayments. That was like our big money focus. It hasn't really been as much of a focus the last few months since we found out we were pregnant. We've kind of had to shift our priorities a little bit, but it's always been in the back of my mind. I was like, we set this goal, we were tracking so well, we were tracking ahead for ages. We kind of had to pivot, but like, I still want to achieve it if we can. And I'm so happy. Like, we are $2,500 away from hitting that goal. So we can almost definitely do it in November or December. I'm so excited about that. Like, that is so exciting. Could I spend that $13,500 on random stuff? Yes, I could. Could I take myself shopping? Yes, I could. But I want my house paid off. Having a look at the spending overview, the little breakdown, 47.6% of our money went towards debt this month, 19% in savings, 29.2% on our expenses. I'd actually be interested to see if we remove this, which has come from our sinking fund, and remove this, which is the deposit for our wardrobes, also came from our home sinking fund, what would that look like? 16.7% on expenses. We'd be under budget. Beautiful. Happy with that. The only reason I include these figures in our budget is so that it's accurate and that I can track what we're taking from our sinking funds. Here's an example of how it looks in the transaction tracker. So when we take money from our sinking funds or our savings, we do a minus, so minus $4,265. And then I track how I spend that, which was on travel. Looking at the more detailed breakdown, 33.7% of our money went towards the extra mortgage payment, 11.4% on travel, $4,000 in our business, 8.7% on our baby fund, 5.6% in home fund, 4.8% on mortgage, 4% on the other part of the mortgage, 2.8% we spent on gifts this month, 2.2% on the baby, 1.9% on home. We invested 1.7%. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. When do dogs grow out of chasing their tail? Because Mabel grew out of it very quickly. Elsie, she's another beast. She's a different dog entirely. Like, very different personalities. She is over a year old and still chasing her tail like she's a puppy. Like, hello, have we not quite figured out that's your tail? Anyway, that was October. No words really. I could not be happier, could not be prouder, could not be more grateful. An incredible, brilliant, magical month. October always has good vibes. I have to say it. Let's keep the good times rolling in November. I'm going to add our income, so $3,189.65 for Nick. My business income, let me quickly work this out. Okay, I think about $10,000. We'll go with that. So it gives us $16,379 to budget. I also have $2,643 or $34, should I say, carrying over from October. We still do have a couple of days left of this month as I'm filming this, and most of that I'm sure we'll spend on our baby moon. So I'm gonna pretend that's at zero and we'll see how much we actually have left over when we enter the new month. Bills, I'm just gonna, again, copy and paste over. You guys know I am a fiend for copying and pasting. Makes my life so much easier. Beautiful. I'm going to do the same with subscriptions and make sure that I update this to $22.99. I always like to add in the mortgage payments. I make sure I add in our needs and then break down our wants from there. I always budget bills, mortgage, subscriptions, anything that's non-negotiable. Not that subscriptions are non-negotiable, I could always remove those if I need to. But this way I know everything's covered and everything else left over is for saving or spending. So yeah, I have $11,355 to work with. I'm gonna budget $700 for groceries. We'll say $200 for petrol just because we've been going over a little bit. The girls, I really don't think they need anything, but I've said that before and I've been wrong. So what could they possibly need? I will say $150. Oh, actually they're getting groomed this month. Let's say $250. Cool. Hold up. I wrote down a couple of things that I know we have to budget for and include in the budget, and sometimes I forget about this. So I made a point of writing it down so I would not forget, and I almost did. Things we have to budget for. The robe installs, we have to pay for the full remainder of that. I think the total came to $3,800. I want to say $850. We made a 20% deposit, so we have the remainder of that to pay. That will come from our home sinking fund, so we don't really have to worry about that. We are having our baby shower this month, so I have to keep that in mind. We're hosting at our house, so we're going to have food, drinks. I want to get some decorations. I actually have a really fun theme. I'm really excited about it. Would that fall under home or social or miscellaneous? Oh, I don't know actually. And then we also have the baby's wallpaper to buy. That would fall under home as well. But will that come from our sinking fund? How much do we have in our home sinking fund? Let's have a look. We currently have $6,568 in there. $3,100 of that will be for the wardrobes. I'm not sure how much the wallpaper is going to cost, but surely not the rest of that. We'll budget $300 for home because it is Christmas and I would like to get some Christmas decorations. And then the actual amount will be more than $300 I'm predicting, but that will come from our sinking funds. Right now I'm just budgeting what we're making in November. Cleaners are $300 a month. Gifts, we don't have any November birthdays, I don't think. So $0. Treating others, $250. I will say $350 for eating out. Social, I'm gonna put the baby shower under social and I have no idea how much we're gonna spend on that. $1,500, is that excessive? I don't know. We're gonna try and stick to $75 for our coffee budget. We'll go $50 for hobbies, $50 for transport. Shopping, I'm gonna budget $250. $50 for entertainment. I would love to go to the movies. I really wanna watch the new Regretting You movie that just came out. I saw the preview for it when I was at the cinema last time and it looked really good. I'm gonna budget $30 for books, $50 for date night, go $50 for alcohol. We will be on our baby moon into November, but whatever we spend will just come from our October budget. We have that $2,634 left over, so I'll just carry that over. I'm gonna put $50 for miscellaneous, nothing for the car, and then baby, I don't know, are we gonna make any baby purchases? Probably. It is Black Friday, but again, that will just come from our savings. So do I need to factor that in into this month's budget? Like what we're making this month? Probably not. We'll go $0 for baby McGrath. We don't need to budget anything for travel because we are traveled out. I don't think we'll have any other travel plans before the baby comes. I talked about this in my, what video was it? A vlog maybe? My chatty Q&A, my chatty vlog Q&A. We would love to do some kind of Europe trip. Call us crazy, but Nick gets really good parental leave. He can kind of take it anytime within, I think it's the first 2 years of the child's life. So right now our plans are for him to take 6 weeks off initially when the baby comes, and then the other 10, 12 weeks later on next year and do some traveling. I might change my mind on this one. I really have no idea. But anyone that I know that has had a baby, especially one, they say your first baby, before they start getting too mobile, too aware, if you have the time and the money, try and cram in as much travel as you can. So we're really taking that advice on board and trying. We're gonna do it. I don't think we need to start saving for that just yet though. We will be dipping into our home fund quite a bit, so we'll replenish that with $500. $150 for car expenses is for rego and our regular servicing. Nothing for emergency fund. We'll invest $1,000. That's our typical goal. I don't think we need to add anything to the gift fund either. That's fully funded for Christmas. Nothing in offset, nothing for the rainy day fund. I actually have not touched that. I have $450 sitting in there. My intention behind this was any one-off purchases, like things that we know aren't necessary and that we haven't budgeted for, but like a guilt-free fund. That was really the purpose behind that, but we just haven't used it. And then we'll save $1,000 for the baby fund. So that leaves us with $4,150 left over. And we are just going to put this right on the mortgage as an extra payment. Actually, we don't even have to. We only have $2,500 left to save to hit that $50,000 goal. Okay, maybe we'll save more for the baby, $2,000 for the baby, and then we'll invest the other $1,000. Is that right? No, now I've overdone it, haven't I? $1,750. Still overdone it. $1,500. Yeah, we've got $150.02 left over. That's fine. I normally like to have an every dollar budget and budget every single cent, but I don't know what my income's gonna look like, so it doesn't really matter anyway. That also gives us a bit of a buffer if we spend a little bit more on our trip. Cool. Well, that is my November budget. And that is my November reset. Thank you guys so much for resetting with me. I hope this was the short, sharp, and shiny video you were expecting. I actually don't think it was. I ended up yapping way more than I probably should have, but I just have a lot to say. I'm a girl with a lot to say. But I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for honestly making my dreams come true. October might have been my highest earning month on social media ever, but it's so much more than that for me. That milestone also just symbolizes how far I've come and how lucky I am to have the audience I do. This little community on my little corner of the internet. Like I just feel like the luckiest girl in the world. I had the best birthday. I felt so much birthday love from you guys and from my friends and from my family. I was watching back on some of my old vlogs from like 2 years ago and everything that was going on in my life and how out of control my life felt. I just so wish, and I wouldn't change anything, but I so wish that I could go back and tell myself like, it will be okay. It's all gonna work out. I knew I felt that in my soul at the time. I was like, I have no idea how this is gonna work out, but I trust in the universe that it's all gonna work out and that bigger things are coming. And it's so true. Like if all those things, those series of unfortunate events across like several years hadn't happened, I would not be where I am today. And I would not be as grateful as I am. Like yes, maybe I could have achieved those things eventually, but I would not have this profound gratitude that I have for my life and for where I am right now if those things hadn't happened. So yeah, all that to say, I love you. I love you so much. Thank you so much for making my dreams come true, and I will see you very, very soon for another video. Bye guys.